Good afternoon and welcome to Building HR Systems that Support Women. We have a spotlight series going on, and I have my friend here, Viviana. I'd like for her to introduce herself, and then we're going to chat a little bit about women in tech. Viviana?
Well, thanks, Fatima, for inviting me over for this little chat. I'm Viviana Benitez, woman in tech, associate partner at HR Path, who specializes in solution integrations, HR solution integrations mainly. The experience I have is 25 plus years, working in this environment, and I'm a woman.
Yes, you are. Hear you roar. Let's go do this. All right. So, my first question, Viviana, from your perspective, why has HR historically been a women-led space? And if you agree with that statement, do you still think it's true today?
Traditionally, HR used to be office housework
Mm-hmm.
or an office housework department,
Mm-hmm.
right? The hire, the retires, the paperwork. So this secretary doing this kind of work, and why the women? Because they have that cultural feel, right? They're able to nurture
Mm-hmm.
the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So that became that. And yes, it's women in HR are still predominant today.
Yeah.
I think over 70% of the
Yes.
workforce
80%,
in
I
H,
think. Yes.
right? So women in HR is still a predominance there.
Yes. I agree with that. And what I've learned about this space, only being in this space for the last decade, is that HR professionals, they are nurturers, and that's what we do. We were born to nurture. So quite naturally, it kind of makes sense. So, question number 2. From what you've seen in your experience, how do HR systems either support us or drain us in the workplace?
Originally, I think that HR systems were made compliant, right? Not the compliance is around not getting a lawsuit or not getting, doing the
In
audits to
trouble.
make sure that you're not in trouble, right? Exactly. Not necessarily based on principles of equity, for example.
Mm.
So there is, a nurture of the bias there if we're taking it like that, because you're just going to make sure that employment wise, you're meeting the minimum criteria. And that, factored with that cultural bias that still exists around woman performing in a job and a man performing in a job. And one of the criteria for promotion
Mhm.
has not helped women in power
Mm.
because the bias exists, Fatima.
So you're saying that even though we are 80% of HR leaders, that the bias is still so strong that we aren't able to break that bias tension.
Well, what I'm saying is that the bias is there, it's cultural. I think that it's not just man driven, it's cultural.
Okay.
Cultural includes women,
Both of us, right?
right?
Yep.
A woman will take, say, I want to get this job. It's going to take a checklist. I need to do this. I need
Mhm.
to do that. I need to da da da. And I need to be good at all this in order to get that job. A man's going to look at that and go like, oh, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can develop. Yeah, I'm going for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Might not have completed the checklist, but he knows he's got the
Mhm.
potential.
Confidence is high.
We,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So potential versus competency. I need to have all these competencies already
Everything.
checked before I get, right?
Mhm.
So there's a cultural bias. How
Mhm.
do you break it? You
Yeah, how
break
do you
it by
break it?
removing the reference to gender, to sex, etc. So maybe, performance reviews, for example, need to be done. And calibration needs to be done around skills, KPIs that are being measured, etc. You remove the name, you remove the gender, put people in boxes, and you measure according to that.
Data,
Data
baseline
driven.
data. Yeah,
Yeah.
data driven. I love
Yeah.
that.
Data
So,
architecture.
would you say that our systems could be draining us a little because they're woven with such bias?
I would say that the systems can still support that bias,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
It's up to organizations to look at how they're going to measure, how they're going to promote, how they're going to measure performance, how
Mhm.
they're going to assign increases, salary increases.
Mhm.
Is it based on the compliance piece, meet minimum requirements, or is this going to be based on architecture data driven results? Let me
Yes.
move that back.
I love that. Okay. I love that. So when you think about technology that you use today, whether it's at work or in your personal life, do you have a piece of technology that makes you feel more confident, makes you feel like you can get through your work easier?
We use a lot of HR technology or, time management technology, et cetera, et cetera. I will like any technology that is intuitive,
Mhm.
that, where I don't need a training guide to navigate across, and where I can, take advantage of built-in AI or agentic AI in there. Because, this being our reality, I don't want to run 3 reports to get some information. Just want to ask questions.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
any solution is going to help me do that work in that kind of fashion is like,
No, I love that. I had one of our other spotlight women, they chatted to us about how they are very client facing, and it sometimes they get wrapped in their own words, and so they're able to just draft an email, load it into an AI, and it like populates beautifully, right? And so that's got to be helpful to us nurturers too, because we also want to deliver our communication in a certain type of way, and sometimes we go too fast and that doesn't happen. So I kind of like that. And I took that note too. And now I have to think about how to utilize different parts of human resources to help advance. These are things that I'm learning too. So I really appreciate this dialogue. Thank you, Viviana.
thank you, Fatima.
So, one last question before I let you go. Is there anything you want our women listeners to take from you today?
I would say, the takeaway is don't think like a girl. Don't think like a girl. Don't pink wash things. Just you have the potential. You can do it. Go for it. You're allowed to do that.
Yes, I love that. So I guess the takeaway then that I'm going to apply is what would a man say? What would a man do? So I'm going to take that one.